I'm Shannon Thrasher, and this is 30-Second Tactics. Today we're going to talk about the common or some common mistakes that people run into when they're seeking out firearms training. I have some notes here, I've hit some high points so I don't forget where I'm at. It's quite a long list. I'm probably going to break this into 2 videos, but let's get started. Point number 1, taking bad advice. I've known so many people over the years who were doing something wrong when it comes to firearms training, and a couple questions into it, I track it down to the fact that they just took some bad advice. They had a friend that, grew up hunting, or they knew this one cop that was their neighbor, or even, if they're police officers, cops in their department, that they just think, well, he's a gun guy, so he must know about firearms training. And, nothing against hunting, nothing against cops, obviously, but there's a lot of guys out there that think they know more than they do. So, when you're seeking out training, especially from instructors that you're going to pay for their time, do a little research, see what they're about. If you can, observe some of their classes before you attend them, talk to people who've gone to their classes. Just seek out some quality instruction. Another point is, firearms training has become big business now, so there's a lot of schools out there and a lot of classes that are basically overflowing. And this point is, what I call a suboptimal student-to-teacher ratio. If you're in a high school class and you have a teacher and 30 students, that might be great. But if you're in a firearms class and there's one instructor on the range with 20 or 30 students, especially if they're basic students, there's a safety issue there, and there's also a training issue there, because one instructor can't watch 20 or 30 people at once and see what they might be doing wrong and make those corrections. Now this is going to vary. I'm not saying you have to have one-on-one instruction. If you can afford that, that's great. But if you got 20 guys on the line and one instructor, generally speaking, that instructor is not going to be able to give that one-on-one or even one-on-5 type attention that he could otherwise. Now that might vary. If you have 20 guys on the line and they're all experienced instructors, it's an intermediate or advanced class, and they're all SWAT guys and stuff, they don't need quite as much hands-on attention for the training itself or for the safety as you might if you're new to it. So keep that in consideration. Another point is getting the wrong kind of training. I've trained soldiers, I've trained police officers, and I've trained civilians, and they generally need different types of training. What a soldier can get away with, like say for example he's walking through the streets of Iraq or whatever current stand we're fighting in, and he takes rifle fire from 200 yards away, he can just shoot back, and if the bad guy gets hit, that's great, and there's collateral damage, it's not great, but it's not the same as if you're a civilian, or even if you're law enforcement, you have a lot more laws you have to make sure you're following. So get the right training. If you're a private citizen and you want training for your concealed carry, then obviously you're not going to get the same kind of training as some special forces guy needs, on his long gun to shoot guys 400 yards away in Afghanistan. There's nothing wrong with getting that kind of training. If you like it, if you have the time and you want to do some advanced training like that, that's great. But make sure, especially at the entry level, that you're getting the training you need for what you need. If you go to the range on a concealed carry class and you're using an outside the waistband police duty type holster for the whole training, are you really getting the training you need? No, because that's not what you're going to be carrying. That's not what you're going to be using. Another one is choosing the wrong gun or the wrong caliber. Again, that goes down to what you're going to use it for. You can say, oh yeah, I want a 44 Magnum because it's super wazoo whatever engine block. There's nothing wrong with 44 Magnum. I like that caliber. But if you're getting that, you're either going to have a 6-shot revolver or a Desert Eagle. Neither one is a great choice for concealed carry. And that's a whole other video into itself. But make sure, especially if, now of course law enforcement, you're mostly going to be training with your duty gun or your backup gun or something, but on the civilian side, especially if you're real new and you're thinking about what gun to get or what next gun to get, really consider caliber and the type of gun, the gun itself, the size of the gun, how it fits your hand. There is no perfect gun. I used to own a gun store, and people would always come in, what's the perfect gun for my wife? Well, sir, how in the world would I know? I don't know your wife. I don't know your wife's experience. I don't know her her size, her experience, her, how the gun fits her hand. And it's not just her, and it's not just wives. Obviously, that applies to men, women, young, old, tall, short, fat, what have you. But the reason you walk into a gun store and there's 20 or 30 different choices in self-defense handguns is because there is no one-size-fits-all. There are a lot that would argue that the Glock 19 is the perfect concealed carry gun, and it's pretty close if there is such thing as perfect. But I know people that, it's too much gun for them, or it's too little gun for them, or for whatever reason, it's not the good choice for them. And some people are just, brand loyal and hate Glock and love SIG or what have you. So do a little research on that. Make sure you're getting the right gun for what you're doing. Another thing, back to instructors themselves, if you go take some training, that's great. If you find, the best trainer out there, if such a thing exists, and you take 2 or 3 of his classes, that's great. But I would encourage you to go out and take 2 or 3 other classes from another instructor, because some of the stuff is all going to be the same, but the way it's taught and just little things here and there, you're going to pick up what we call, tools for your toolbox, different things from different people. And if you run across the instructor that says, this is the only way to do this, I would be very leery of that. If he shows you something, especially something you've never seen before, and he doesn't tell you why he's doing that, or why he thinks that's a good thing, or why it's better another way, I'd be a little suspicious of that. I'd also be very suspicious of, like I said, this is the only way to do it. Now, you might have things, on a shooting range, you have to do it this way because there's safety concerns or there whatever. That's fine, respect that and everything. But if he says, this technique to do this, to get this goal, this is the only way to do it, and this is the best way to do it, or I'd be suspicious of that. It might be the best way for this guy with this gun in this circumstance, but like I said, just be a little leery of instructors that only teach one thing, or only swear this is the only way. That might be a sign that they don't know much other than that. So this is going to get real long. I'm going to break this down into 2 videos. So there's part 1 for you. I hope you guys took a little something from that. As always, please like the videos, please share them, hit that subscribe button, tell your friends about it, get active in the comments, guys. Tell me what you want to see, ask me questions. I'll be happy to go in more detail in the comments. All right, stay safe.